Over the last decade, I would say there has been a lot more conversations or talk about how the United States is headed for a civil war. And lately, Tucker Carlson has been hitting on this point. And I'm going to play his video in just a second. But I don't necessarily think that the United States is going to a civil war in the true essence of a war, where there's actual gunfire and battles that's being fought, but there is a civil war of ideas and where this country should be going, and that I do agree with. And a lot of this sort of turned up temperature around ideas is literally because of the U.S. empire and the way they run their elections and the propaganda and the spin that they have, calling each other names. It makes it to where you can't negotiate with them because the people, your constituents, are going to be like, wait a minute. You said Donald Trump was authoritarian. You said he was a dictator. You said he's trying to end democracy. So how are you now going in and trying to compromise with him? And that, to me, is the reason the temperature around ideas and where this country is going has been on high.
The United States is moving, not inexorably, but still moving toward civil war, number one. And number two, civil wars are the very worst kind of wars, worse than any kind of war fought against a foreign adversary. So to number one, why is America moving towards civil war? For the same reason all countries that wind up in civil war get there, because the differences between their population, between people within their borders, becomes too great to bear. People decide, I have nothing in common with people who live near me, and I don't want to live near them anymore. In other words, diversity, difference, is actually intolerable to most people. Not necessarily racial diversity, though sometimes that too, but diversity of all kinds. It is not our strength. In fact, it is, without question, our weakness, and it has always been. If you have nothing in common with your wife, do you have a stronger marriage? No, of course your marriage falls apart. And the same is true for countries. And the truth about the United States is that on every level, beginning with a demographic level, the American population has less in common with itself, with one another, than ever before. When I was born, which wasn't that long ago, it was the modern era. It was air travel and air conditioning, electricity. When I was born, the United States was about 90% white Christian. It's now less than 40% white Christian. Now, you may think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a massive change, an unprecedented change, really, in a very short period of time. And of course, it's not accidental or organic. That was the result of policies put in place to achieve that result, and they did. There are people who didn't want a majority white Christian country. Okay, they got what they wanted. But what do they have? They have a country with no majority demographically at all.
It's a bit ironic that Tucker Carlson has this position because he used to be part of the apparatus that used to push all of these sort of intolerable sort of stances with people's opinions. So that's ironic. But the Civil War falls directly in the lap of our elected leaders because in their insatiable need to get elected, they have been doing anything, including describing the other side, making it intolerable to come to a compromise. And that's where we're at. So the only way to turn this back is if the rhetoric is turned back and not look at compromise as a dirty word.